Next man up, 1025, the game. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis from News 2, Parker Kelly with you on this Wednesday morning. We are broadcasting live from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville Studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Not out at Titans practice today. We will be back tomorrow. No practice today. Pads have been on the last 2 days. Lots to get to. Do we have Cory? Maybe not yet.
He's in the Zoom.
Okay.
I'm going to get him pulled up.
Sounds good. Yes, we are going to get Cory Curtis with us. He is joining us remotely today, but lots to get into with the Titans. Of course, we'll get into some college football as well. The coaches poll was released yesterday. The Vols ranked 18th. Vandy receiving votes just on the outside looking in. So we'll get into all of that and much more with Cory Curtis today. I did last night. I went to a concert down in Franklin. I went and saw The Fray and Dashboard Confessional, and it was actually really, really good. I remember listening to The Fray growing up a little bit, but I hadn't thought about how many songs I actually knew of theirs, and it was a good show. It was a good show. Good little break here as we go through training camp. Again, it's been fun being out there the last couple of days. I am glad to have this day back in the studio, home sweet home. We're going to get Cory's reaction on everything that's gone on at practice. He's been out there. Parker's been out there. I've been out there. Yesterday for Cam Ward, there was a big moment, the 65-yard dime to Carnell Tate, which of course came the second we went off air yesterday. We were talking at the end of the show about how it was kind of a meh day for Cam Ward. Like it just wasn't super crisp for him. Missing some wide receivers, wasn't a lot of plays downfield. And then we sign off. And in the commercial break, before Chase and Big Joe comes on, he gears up and throws the 65-yard bomb, drops it in the bucket to Carnell Tate. So it's one of those things where you look and you say he had the big moment, and you like to see that. That's something that he struggled with last year, was the downfield accuracy, being able to hit his receivers on the deep balls. We saw it with Alec Iamaner early on in the season, Calvin Ridley early on in the season, and it never really got all that much better. Yeah, he got a couple of plays downfield, the Ridley throw against the Cardinals. He had a nice throw against the Chiefs later on in the season, but that was a big concern heading into the season. That was a really good throw. I mean, he dropped it in the bucket from his own 25 and put it at the 10-yard line for Carnell Tate, who rolled into the end zone. So that's what you want to see. Overall, I would say it was a lackluster day for Cam Ward. Outside of that, I think he was fine in a lot of ways, but I think the big moment maybe overshadows some of the struggles he had yesterday. We are now joined by Cory Curtis. Cory, what's going on?
I'm delightful. How are you today?
I am doing great. I'm glad that we this Wednesday, no practice today, so we can catch up on everything that's gone on. We miss you in studio. We do. You and Parker haven't been in studio together in like a month now.
Yeah, and we could have both celebrated the big victory over Scoobel.
Yes,
last night.
Yes, yeah. Parker was texting me about that.
That's coming, Cory. Don't worry. We're gonna celebrate.
I wore my shirt to celebrate.
Oh, he's got the Cubs shirt on.
I love it.
You can't see it right now.
I can't see it, but I love it because, I don't dislike Tarek Scoobel. I appreciate everything he did for the Tigers, but it would be nice to see him work his way out of Detroit and then not win the World Series with the Dodgers. I think everybody's kind of rooting for that outcome. But congratulations. I did text Parker texted me. He said he picked the wrong Tuesday to go to Wrigley Field because he missed out on Tarek Scoobel. And I texted him back. I said, well, at least you saw a win. That's less likely tonight. And guess what? The Cubs still got it done. So congratulations to both of you.
Yeah, it's a nice win for the Cubs. And, there is nothing wrong with Tarek Scoobel. But one thing that I will always note about athletes, because in our business, we tend to have agents as well. And I think a lot of us forget sometimes that the agents work for us. And if Scoobel really wanted to stay in Detroit, he could have told Scott Boras, I want to stay in Detroit. Let's get the best deal we can get in Detroit. So I'm not trying to make him out to be the bad guy, but we all love to vilify Scott Boras, and right so. But he is an employee.
No, that is true. If Tarek Skubal had told Scott Boras, I want to stay in Detroit, get the best deal that you can for me to stay here, he could have done that. Scott Boras, I guess the comments from the Tigers front office was basically they made an offer to Tarek Skubal and were told that he was going to free agency no matter what. So you're right. It's Boras he's a symptom, but Tarek Skubal had the ability to do whatever he wanted if he wanted to stay there. So he gets traded, and we'll see if anybody can stop the Dodgers. I mean, the NL has some really good teams. Your guys, Cubs, the Brewers, the Braves are really good this year. And in a short series, in a 5-game series, you've got a chance. Tarek Skubal 0 for 2 in Game 5s over the past 2 years. So hopefully that continues now that he's wearing Dodger blue.
Yeah, no, it'll be interesting. I think the Dodgers have lost 5 in a row. And we saw them not be perfect in the regular season last year and then get to the playoffs and be a juggernaut. But the reason that I continue to like the Cubs is they're the best defensive team in baseball, and I don't think it's particularly close. Their defense is dynamic. They are capable of hitting the ball out of the ballpark. They had too many injured pitchers, and so they went out and got 5, I think, at the deadline, and we'll see if they're the right 5.
Yeah, I did see that the Dodgers, since trading for Tarek Skubal, are 0-3, and the Tigers, since trading Tarek Skubal, are 3-0. So maybe things work out the other way than you would have expected them to.
So it's Tarek Skubal's fault that the Tigers stunk.
Yeah, hey, the Tigers are a game and a half out of a wild card spot, so don't look now. Even after trading away their best 2 pitchers, they've still got a chance to go out and get into the playoffs.
Yep.
Cory, I wanted to get your thoughts on Titans practice the last couple days. Pads have been on Monday and Tuesday. All 3 of us were out there yesterday. I think the last 2 days for Cam Ward, it's like 2 very polar opposite days. Monday, I thought he looked good, clean, crisp, except for the 2 horrible mistakes on the interceptions. He had 2 really bad plays that kind of overshadowed the good that he had the rest of practice. Yesterday, I thought it was a little bit erratic, inconsistent with his accuracy, but then you get the big play touchdown to Carnell Tate that kind of overshadows that, and he didn't turn the football over. So I would say on a whole, I thought his practice Monday was better just with 2 big mistakes. Whereas yesterday, I didn't think it was a great day for him, but he did get the big exclamation point towards the end of practice.
Didn't he say in Netflix, when he said what he learned about the NFL is that you can throw late across the middle?
Yeah. Yeah, he did say
said
that.
Like episode 1. And Robert Saleh was right when he talked about the fact that you can, because look, we saw him do it in the touchdown to Alec Iamaner, the touchdown to Jeffrey Simmons. I think he had a throwback to Xavier Restrepo.
Yep.
But, that's when you stretch the play way out and the field gets spread way out, and not when you're throwing into a crowd. And the one to Jermaine Johnson was in a really thick crowd, and the one to Amani Hooker was, he was the guy was already double covered, and Hooker stepped up, and he was a third guy in there. So that's what made those decisions so poor. And regardless of how good everything else was, those are going to be glaring because those are bad mistakes. And you'd say those are rookie mistakes, but he got away with it as a rookie. And so he saw it in practice. And I think Brian Dable said yesterday morning, lesson learned. And so I think Cam has shown to be a learner from things in the past. So we'll see, how quickly that takes. Yesterday wasn't totally clean. You're right. There were a couple of mix-ups with Carnell Tate.
Yep.
Before the big one, and I always tend to lean on receiver ahead of quarterback on those. But I don't know. I don't know for sure on that. But what I have seen is that seam route to Wan'Dale Robinson is all day long for him. And he throws it with a ton of confidence and with a ton of steam on it. And so I think what we're seeing is we're going to see a lot of that. And I also thought Chim Dike looked really good yesterday.
Yeah.
And was more involved as well. So, the offensive line has its hands full. That's clear. And Cam not perfect. I don't know. I don't know if I thought it was terrible yesterday. You certainly want it to be better, but I also certainly expect this defense to be ahead of this offense.
Yeah, and I think mix-ups is the right word on some of those. Like, some of the passes were just inaccurate. Like, there was a pass on a crosser to Wan'Dale Robinson that he kind of short-hopped. But I did see a couple of times where the ball would be thrown so inaccurately that you kind of just had to know that they weren't on the same page. And one to Carnell Tate, one to Calvin Ridley, where you could see them pointing with each other where they expected him to go. And that's why you have these practices, right? This is why you have training camp, to be able to work out those kinks. And hopefully when you get to real games, Calvin Ridley, Carnell Tate, Wan'Dale Robinson know where Cam Ward expects them to be when he throws the football.
Well, I mean, on the one to Carnell Tate went in and he threw out.
Yes.
So clearly there was an expectation that he was going to go out on that one. And then the one on Ridley you're talking about, that was a play where Cam had extended the play.
Yeah.
And Ridley was freelancing in the middle of the field. And he expected him, I think there was an open gap to his right, Ridley's left, and he expected Ridley to flow to it.
Yep.
And he didn't. So that was, and I'm not, you got two guys trying to read each other's minds there.
Yeah.
But that's, look, that's where Ridley and like Will Levis couldn't get together. Was getting on the same page, with right where exactly he was going to be. So I think, there's some history there of not always being able to get on track with the quarterback.
615-737-1025 is our phone number, our phone and text line, driven by Wilson County Hyundai, online at wilsoncountyhyundai.com. You can join the conversation at 615-737-1025. Titans in pads the last 2 days in practices, off today. They'll be back out at Vanderbilt Health Football Center tomorrow. Cam Ward obviously going to be a big story anytime the Titans are out on the practice field, and we'll get more into Cam Ward later in the show. But the big story yesterday, big skirmish early on in team period. Jeffrey Simmons gets kicked out of team drills and has to go work on a side field. We'll talk about how Robert Saleh handled that situation and much more coming up after this. 615-737-1025. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly, next man up. 125 The Game.
No, our policy is if you throw a punch, you're ejected in the game. Same thing with practice. If you throw a punch, you're out of practice. But rather than going to the locker room, he went to the other fields. He still got his work in. So the projected reps and the work that he would have got in, he got in off to the side.
Just the back and forth between him and Lyman.
That was Robert Saleh yesterday on Big Jeff being kicked out of team drills after an early scuffle with the offensive line. J.C. Latham, Austin Schlottman in the middle of it. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly. I'm surrounded by Cubs fans this morning. But I'm happy for the Cubs fans getting it done against Tarik Skubal yesterday. He went, 6 innings, 2 earned runs?
He had 6 strikeouts, too.
Yeah, he didn't pitch poorly. But, Dodgers scored 1 run. That usually gets you beat.
Yeah, that is true. You do have to score to win. Cory, what were your thoughts on Robert Saleh, the way he addressed the scuffle yesterday? It got pretty heated pretty quickly with Austin Schlottman and Jeffrey Simmons. J.C. Latham gets in there. There was some pushing and shoving. I guess since he got thrown out of practice, I didn't see Jeffrey Simmons throw a punch, but you would assume he did. And then after another little skirmish a couple of seconds later, you saw the Saleh shut down practice, bring the whole team together, and settle things down. What were your thoughts on the way Robert Saleh handled his first inter-squad kind of scrum that went on? I won't call it a brawl, but scrum between players.
All right. Well, first off, I'm ready to go. I've officially got my coffee. And
the best person ever. I love it.
I'm ready to go. I thought it was interesting because I believe the fight with Simmons and Schlottman and then Latham was first or second play of 11 on 11.
It was I think it was the second play.
Yeah, it was close to the beginning. Really close to the beginning.
Yeah, it was play 1 or play 2 where I was like, come on. And then like the Io Manor Marcus Harris fight was like 1 or 2 plays after that.
I think it was the next play, and that's why Saleh kind of just said, all right, everybody come together. We're stopping this now.
So, look, 98 getting in a camp fight is nothing new. Okay. I mean, that is something we have seen many times before. And, Parker's been out there to be right where Coach Whitecotton and that defensive line group is. I mean, he's like Jim Washburn. He gets those guys torqued up pretty good. I mean, they are operating at a pretty intense level. And so it's, and the offensive line knows what they're up against. So it's not surprising to see the intensity boil over a little bit there. Now, a couple things. One, Jeffrey Simmons is the best player on your team. It's his team. He's the leader of this team. He's in his 8th year in the league, I think. So he's got to be a pro at some point. You've got to be able to, look, it can boil over, and you can have the pushing and the shoving and the trash talking back and forth. You can't throw a punch. And, and I think Saleh's point was this. He'll handle the fighting, but you throw a punch and everything changes because Jeff could break his hand. He could concuss somebody by hitting him. You cannot have that. And so the second part of that is how does he follow through with it? Because there was a lot of criticism of Brian Callahan for not disciplining Big Jeff after a training camp fight. And so, Saleh, immediately was basically, hey, rules are rules. You threw a punch, doesn't matter who you are, you're out of a game. And so you're out of practice. And, I think, sending him to the side rather than the locker room is better because not only is he getting in his work, he's getting in a lot more work. There's no rest over on the side.
Yep.
There's no rotation of line groups on the side. There's no time between plays on the side. It's just work. And so, he got in more work, you could say, yesterday than he would have gotten if he was with the team. So, I don't overreact to the fight. I am disappointed with the throwing of the punch and just not being a pro in that scenario. but I'm also, I think that was a moment for Robert Saleh, a test of his leadership early, with the team and with fans, because I think that matters to a lot of fans as well. And so I think he passed yesterday.
Yeah, I do think that, given that almost the exact same situation unfolded in the first training camp under Brian Callahan, and he was criticized for the way he handled it, of not kicking Jeff out of practice. I think Robert Saleh did a nice job of, hey, I don't care who you are on this team. If you throw a punch that's going to get you ejected in the game, we're going to throw you out of practice too. And I like that he stopped practice after tempers continued to boil after that. He brought everybody together and nipped it in the bud. And there really was no issue the rest of practice, which I think shows you that those guys are willing to listen to Robert Saleh's leadership. It was chippy, but
still chippy.
You didn't see any other
control.
Right. There was no carrying on after the whistle for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, there was one time where Alec really planted Cordell flat and let him know about it afterwards, but nobody got into it again, and that was the important thing, because I think they've only got like 15 padded practices per camp. You can't waste any. You can't, especially in your first year as head coach, trying to establish what you want to establish with this team, and especially a team that's won 6 games in 2 years.
Yeah.
You don't have many of these practices to truly get better. And so you can't have one wasted so guys can rumble. And so, how you get that under control and the work that you get done afterwards is important. By the way, we have brought this rough day for Mitch Trubisky yesterday.
Yes, it was. It was not a good day for Mitch Trubisky. 3 interceptions? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It was close to having 4
or 5.
Yeah.
4 or 5.
Not Cedric Gray. Anthony Hill had 2 off of him, and then James Williams had the one-handed pick against him. So, 3. And, he had the 2-minute drill. He actually ran pretty effectively and got them into the end zone. But outside of that, yes, it was a tough day for Mitch Trubisky.
Yeah. And by the way, I know we got a lot of show to go, but just we're talking about quarterbacks. Will Levis hooking up with Bryce Oliver for 2 big ones yesterday. I mean, really nice job of laying it out there, showing touch, and Bryce having a step. And the second one, especially Bryce pulling it in, I think between 2 guys.
Yes.
For I don't know how many yards each of those. They were at least 40, 50 yards.
Yeah, the first one was it was kind of over the middle of the field, and Levis did a nice job of laying it over this safety, and it wasn't a perfect throw, but it was a catchable throw. And in that situation, that's kind of what you're looking for. And then you're right. The second one was more Bryce Oliver just going up and snatching it, which was good to see.
Yeah, and Will put it out there for him. And, we've seen Bryce Oliver shine in camp before.
Yep.
We saw him and Malik Willis really, really work together. And, I really like Bryce Oliver, as a special teams player. And, you've seen him produce on the field in practice. Now, he hasn't gotten much of a chance in games, and he has had some injuries, but I think he can be a guy who helps this football team. I mean, he is big. He is strong. I don't know if you've ever got a chance to see him up close. His hands are just monstrous. I was talking with him after practice the other day, and he slapped my hand and grabbed it, and it was like twice the length of my hand. I was just like, what is that thing? I mean, just gigantic, and he works hard and embraces his role. And so this is my annual pitch for Bryce Oliver.
Well, I think he was the guy that we expected was going to be the leader in the clubhouse for wide receiver 6 heading into training camp because of what Robert Saleh said. He was asked, what's going to be the big differentiating factor for the guys at the back end of the roster? And it was special teams. You better be living in Bones Fossil's office. And Bryce Oliver, we know, does that. And any upside that he can give you on the offensive side is just the cherry on top. And it was good to see him making some plays with the third team yesterday.
It was interesting. I asked Bones yesterday about Alec Iamaner in special teams, because if Alec is the 4 or the 5 in the wide receiver room, and because we don't know at this point, and that's what he said it comes down to. for Alec is how much offense he plays will dictate how much he's available in the wide receiver room, because there was no question, it was written all over Bones' face. He loves looking at the athlete that Alec Iomanner is and seeing what he could do with special teams.
Yeah,
and would I rather see him playing offense? Yes, I would. But he's too big and too strong to not have out there.
Yeah, we talked to him yesterday, and he talked about just everything that he did in the offseason to get ready. Oh, we got a special guest on the program here.
It's the sports cat.
The sports cat has joined us. Yeah, I mean, I think that he probably will need to contribute in special teams if he is wide receiver 4, wide receiver 5. While we're on the topic of wide receivers, Corey, we all, Titans media, fans, we all did it again. We hyped up Xavier Restrepo off of offseason work, and he has been non-existent in camp so far. I cannot say that I've noticed him once.
I've seen him catch a few balls. He certainly caught more balls than the tight ends have.
That is true. The tight ends have been relatively non-existent too.
But the thing is with him that he's up against it. I mean, regardless of how good he could be in camp, he would have to be electric because he's not going to be a gunner. He's not, and he's not going to return kicks. So it's tough for him to carve out that role on special teams when the one job that he could probably do is taken, and then the other jobs, there are bigger, stronger guys to fill those roles. And so if he's going to be your wide receiver 5 or 6, or even 7 on this team, what's his role? What's his role other than being inactive on Sunday? And so, more likely to be back on the practice squad again this year.
Yeah, 100%. And camp's long. There's still opportunities for him to flash, and he'll get reps in preseason games. But I agree that we were talking about him as a contender to make the roster. I think he's going to be a practice squatter again this year based on what we've seen so far.
It's a numbers game for him and a role game. And unless you're prepared to put him out there in the slot, he's not going to be able to give you what you need with the numbers on the roster.
Yeah, it's like our conversation about a few years ago with Julius Chestnut versus Hassan Haskins. It's like, well, they like Julius Chestnut carrying the football. Well, if he's not going to carry the football, what is his value to this team?
And that was a mistake then.
Yeah.
So I think that's a great example, Jake, and it's what. I don't want to be insulting, but it's what a real football team does. It's that's the decision that they made.
615-737-1025 is the phone number. Our phone line's driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Keep up with Titans training camp with 1025 The Game for the latest updates, player interviews, and more as we get you prepped for the upcoming Titans season. Coverage of Titans training camp is presented by Twin Peaks Restaurants, Parman Tractor and Equipment, and Tri-State Water, Power, and Air. More Titans talk on the other side. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly. Next man up, 1025 The Game. Next man up, 102.5 The Game, Jake. Lions training camp. They're back on the field tomorrow morning, and we will be live starting at 9 a.m. from Vanderbilt Health Football Center. Cory, I've got a text here. We were talking about Xavier Restrepo. Rick says the Lord will carve a role for Xavier Restrepo. So I guess
he might.
I guess it's decided.
It happens. Look, look at Mason Kinsey and how long he's been on this football team.
Right.
I mean, every year he seems to find his way onto the field. Yeah, every year Nick Westbrook-Akine would start as wide receiver 4, 5, or 6, and every year he would be starting by the end of the year. Sometimes things work out and guys find a way. The important thing is to make yourself valuable enough to keep around for when that opportunity shows up.
Yeah, and I do think that Restrepo could end up being the Mason Kinsey replacement on the practice squad. Maybe a more talented receiver, but he will have to add to what he can do as a special teamer.
Not as fast.
Not as fast, but probably shiftier, better at getting open in short areas. So right now, based on what I've seen, Restrepo is not going to be on the roster. But again, it's a long camp. There's still a long way to go, and he'll get his reps in the preseason. Another text here, 4312 says, I'm more worried the frustration with JC is just indicating JC is being lazy and he isn't taking a step forward. I don't know about that. I haven't noticed JC getting beat in the last 2 days of practice, at least, and maybe you had a better view down there. I will say JC Latham pancaked Jeff Simmons during that scrum yesterday. We need to see more of that between the whistles, but he did. He got Jeff Simmons on his butt there for a second.
Well, one of the things I have noticed with JC, and JC talked about getting the mental coach on Saturday, he looks like he is attacking practice with a much more aggressive mindset. He looks like, and this has nothing to do with the fighting or anything. And by the way, he wasn't the one who started that fight. He came into Austin Schlottmann's defense, which is what a good team does. And by the way, what you also do when you're the biggest guy on the field. But he is attacking practice and his reps in a much more violent and hostile way. And frankly, he needed to.
Yep.
He is too big and too strong to not be a physical, imposing, intimidating presence out there. I mean, David Stewart was a great big guy, and he said about 3 words in 7 years. But nobody messed with David Stewart. Nobody, because you knew he was a bad dude, and if you messed with him, he was going to punish you. And so, we've seen other tackles, like that, especially the right tackle position in the past. And so, is that JC? Maybe it hasn't been. Maybe it's something he's evolving into. And does he have to learn to harness it? Probably. But Parker, I don't know if you've seen it as well. I see a guy who's hitting the practice field with a much more combative personality.
In the individual drills, he's definitely looks like he has that violence that he maybe didn't have those first 2 years. And just when he's hitting the pads, it's just like he's thumping it. And I didn't see that the first 2 years. And I'd love to see that carry over more to team. And hopefully he's not rotating in and out like he has been with Austin Deculus and Brandon Crenshaw-Dixon. I just hope we start to see that ramp up more once we get to these joint practices, preseason, and so on.
Yeah, well, I mean, you've got to practice with it to play with it, right? So that's the first start of it. And they've got to continue to ramp him up to make sure he's 100% to go. And I think the first real test of that is next Tuesday in San Francisco, right? I mean, that's when we now unfortunately we won't see it in the practice. And now I know Coach Saleh has said the starters are all going to play in the game, so we should see it some in the game on Thursday night on News 2. And so that's the first real test.
Yeah, and I mean, we're 6 days away from that joint practice out there in Santa Clara, so you're gonna
Yeah.
see these guys get tested. There was somewhat concerning news. Again, we won't know more about Dan Moore's status until tomorrow when Robert
Yeah.
Saleh speaks or when the team hits the practice field. But that was one of the few players. Like, you never want to see anyone get hurt, but in terms of top 5 guys, you really don't want to see go inside during practice. Dan Moore is definitely one of them.
Yeah, and so I saw him. I was down there by the linemen when they did their one-on-ones, and Dan Moore got beat badly a couple of times, which was really concerning.
Yep.
And then a short time later, I saw him limp off the field, and I was like, okay, I'm wondering if he was dinged over there, because he didn't look good.
Yeah.
He didn't look good at all, and then he limps off. So I don't know how bad the injury is. They didn't help him off. They didn't cart him off. He just had a light limp coming off. But you're right. He is absolutely someone, regardless of what you think about him, he's the best they got. Okay. They need him out there.
And if Dan Moore is seriously hurt, and again, we have no idea. He walked off under his own power, so that would make you hope at least that it's not something super serious. We'll find out more tomorrow. But
and is it a muscle or is it an ankle?
Right.
That's what we don't know.
We have zero clue what the injury is or the severity of the injury. But I do think that you look at the swing tackle depth here, and it's like, all right. Brandon Crenshaw-Dixon can't be your starting left tackle in week 1. They're going to have to go outside the building, and there are still options out there. Taylor Decker, Jack Conklin, they're still out on the open market. So like, there would be options, but right now, fingers crossed that it was just out of concern that Dan Moore was pulled out of practice yesterday.
It's still, and it again just it makes you scratch your head with how the lack of aggressiveness they had in attacking the offensive line this offseason, especially with the amount of cap space that they have. It makes it more puzzling. So, yeah. And by the way, Darnell Wright with a massive contract.
Huge extension.
Again, I just continue to think that Peter Skoronski package is going to be gigantic, way bigger than we all anticipated.
Yeah, we talked about it yesterday, Corey. The Matthew Bergeron extension that he just got with the Falcons, 4 years and $96 million. Like, Matthew Bergeron on the top 10 interior offensive line list, which again, it's not the gospel, like it's not everything, but he didn't get a single vote as a top 10 interior offensive lineman. Skoronski was 9th. Like, it's going to be a big, big contract.
Yeah, it's going to be 4 years and over $100 million. I'm confident of that.
Yep, I agree. It will hit 9 figures in the total money going to Peter Skoronski. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. If you have thoughts, we'd love to hear from you. Our phone line's driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel at 1025 The Game for live shows and exclusive content. We'll finish up the first hour on the Titans. We've talked about some standouts from training camp so far in these first 2 padded practices. I want to flip over to the defensive side. There have been a few guys that I noticed the last couple days that would be big developments for the Titans if they can get contributions out of them this season. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly, next man up. 1025 The Game. Today, the Nashville Sounds take on the Memphis Redbirds. First pitch is at 6:45, and you can catch all of the action on 94.9 The Fan, presented by Twin Peaks, Family Leisure, Maple Street Biscuit Company, and Social Cantina. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly with you. Wrapping up the first hour, talking Titans training camp. First two padded practices wrapping up earlier this week. Another one coming up tomorrow morning. Cory, I wanted to get to a couple of guys I've noticed that have stood out. We talked about some of the wide receivers. Bryce Oliver had a nice day. Alec Iamaner and Jim Dike have both flashed at times. The linebackers on defense. Anthony Hill with a couple picks yesterday. He's been all over the field. And how about James Williams? He has 3 interceptions so far in camp. He's been a pleasant surprise so far at that off-ball linebacker spot.
You know, he's so long. I mean, he's got long arms, and what is he, 6'5"? And I know, like, one of those interceptions, I think it was Trubisky, was trying to layer it over the top, and I don't think he just didn't account for how long James is.
Yeah.
And he went out and got it. Now, both Saleh and defensive coordinator Gus Bradley went on and on about the way James has changed his body. You know, I think he got up around 250 pounds last year, and they've asked him to drop weight, and he dropped about 20 pounds. And so they're both really happy with how he attacked his body and his off season. He appears to be playing, you know, with a level of confidence, and with you, if you've got Cedric Gray and Cody Barton and Anthony Hill, and if James Williams is a viable option, then you can have, you can absorb an injury.
Yep.
And put a guy out there that you like, and he was a 7th round draft pick, right?
Yeah.
If he can be a productive player for you, that would be really good value. That would be really good value for you. So it has been nice to see, that group as a whole, really, really showing up, because, I know Cedric had an interception earlier in camp too.
Yes.
So that's like 6 interceptions from those guys. That's a lot from that. I mean, you'd expect that from the DBs, and, we're seeing it from the linebacker group.
Yeah, that is true. I'm trying to think of other interceptions. Hooker obviously had the one on Monday against Cam. Jermaine Johnson had the one. But outside of that, has it pretty much just been the linebacking group that's been able to pick off these quarterbacks so far?
There was another secondary defensive back who had one, and I can't remember his name.
Yeah, it is tough. Like Taylor and Flott haven't had one yet. Winston hasn't had one, at least that I can remember. Keydrane Callaghan had a nice pass breakup yesterday. I want to say it was either Hooker or Levis who was throwing the football in one-on-ones, but Callaghan went up and made a nice play. I know that's Parker's guy.
I didn't see the one-on-ones because I was watching the defensive lineman.
Gotcha. Yeah, we're up on the terrace up above the first field. And so I got to watch a lot of the wide receiver corner one-on-ones. Callaghan was one of the guys that I noticed the most in those drills. I'm gonna throw this name out there, Cory. I know we've disagreed on him before. I thought Femi Oladejo had a great day yesterday.
Oh, really?
I noticed him multiple times.
What did he do?
So I said it initially that I noticed him forklifting a guy back into the quarterback, and then I realized it was a tight end.
Okay.
And so that happened twice. And I said, let's see him do it against a tackle. He did the same thing to a tackle a few plays later. And then the last play of practice yesterday, where Anthony Hill had the interception, that would have been a sack in a live game atmosphere, because Femi Oladejo was the one who got to Mitch Trubisky's hand and forced the ball to flutter up in the air. So I will say Femi Oladejo, it's one practice. He was working against the twos for the most part, but I did notice him multiple times yesterday.
Well, so I did watch Femi some yesterday. I saw him in the one-on-ones, and my criticism is not effort at all. And it rarely is with any of these guys. It's not effort at all. There's no variety in what he's doing. And in the one-on-one drills, he basically just, kind of went wide and turned in and hit the tackle straight in the numbers and stoned himself twice.
Yeah.
And I'm like, there's no rip. There's no turn. There's no swim. There's no forklift. There's no spin. I mean, there was nothing in any of those reps I saw over there, and I just kind of threw up my hands. I'm like, isn't this when you work on this stuff? And so, and then I watched him in 11 on 11 early on, and I saw much the same thing. And so now, truthfully, after that, I wasn't as focused on him as I was before. So it sounds like I missed his better reps, and it sounds like he was more active, and that's good to hear. Because what I saw for the first half of what I watched yesterday, I was disappointed.
Yeah,
disappointed.
I will say
there wasn't variety in what he was doing.
I agree with you that it's not like I saw a plethora of pass rush moves that he was pulling out there. Like it was all
like two pass rush moves.
Right. He was basically just trying to bull rush the tackle the entire time. And maybe that's something he's working on. And that was what they wanted him to focus on yesterday. I don't know what the coaches are asking of these guys, but I will say, as practice went along, I noticed him more, and his best rep was the last rep of practice where, again, he would have blown up Mitch Trubisky if he wasn't wearing the red non-contact jersey. Well,
that's good to hear because they need way more of that.
Yes. Yeah, I at the defensive end spots, I didn't notice Keldrick Falk very much yesterday.
Now, see, in one-on-one drills, he won twice yesterday.
Really?
Yeah, I was actually – okay, so Keldrick. Let's talk about Keldrick Falk for a second.
Yeah,
I tried to watch him a bunch. He's 21 years old.
Yep.
All right. Him, Hill, and Tate are all 21 years old, and so they've all got a lot of growing, still to do as football players. And when you watch Keldrick Falk work with that group, because that group works really hard, really fast, really deliberately. And there's a lot of hand movement and hand fighting in what they do. There's a lot of precision in the steps of what they're doing, leading right foot, leading left foot. This step is this far. This step is this far. This hand comes up. I mean, it's when they do these pass rush things, guys, it's not just, hey, I'm going to go as hard as I can and just see what happens. I mean, these are moves and sequences that they practice over and over again. And you can see him, a couple steps behind, where the veterans are in learning all these things. You can see him trying to think his way through it. It's just not as fluid as when they do it yet, because he hasn't had enough practice at it. And so he's still working on it. You can see that, but the effort is there, and he is a big, long guy. And I like his future. And so I was really pleasantly surprised when I saw him go into those pass rushing one-on-ones and win twice. And I was like, wow, that's great. So now as far as 11 on 11, I don't know. But yeah, over there, that's what I saw.
It's tough during 11 on 11 to focus on everybody, right? Like you're trying to get a wide enough view to see what's going on in the play, but sometimes you miss a lot of what's going on in the trenches.
I pick a guy a lot of plays that I'm going to –
right.
A lot of Jackson Slater. I've watched, a lot of the receivers. I've watched, some of the, the defensive linemen. I pick guys out. So you're right. You can't see it all.
Yeah. Yeah. But Keldrick Falk, I will say, like, you're right. He's young and he's got the frame. And when you do see him out there, like he is an imposing force. He's a big guy. And there's a lot of growth that could happen there because, again, he's young and he's malleable. And you've got him working with Aaron White-Cotton and Tanzel Smart and some of these other coaches. So I'm excited to see what some of these young pass rushers do this year. I do think that you need at least one of them to step up to make that defensive line as impactful as it can be.
One of the interesting things when you bring that up, we're limited in what we can say about what we see on the practice field. And so, like, I saw John Franklin Myers taking reps at defensive end the other day.
Yep.
But I didn't want to say anything about it because I didn't want to get myself in trouble. And so I asked Gus Bradley yesterday about the versatility of their defensive line and mixing and matching positional players. And he said it, so I can say it. Right. John Franklin Myers plays big defensive end for them. And so I think that ability, because I think Jeff could play defensive end for them too if they wanted to. I think that really gives them some good flexibility in the way they use this group. The ability to move a guy like that outside, especially like in a running down where you could move him to the outside. I think, it really gives them some good potential, and I think it helps your numbers in that group as well when you have some versatility there.
Yeah, you can tell that Robert Saleh wanted to have guys who can play a lot of different roles. And you're right. Like maybe you have John Franklin Myers on the edge on a rundown, and Keldrick Falk can play on the edge in a rundown. And then you can bump those guys inside for passing downs where you get into like the NASCAR packages where those guys can just go out and pin their ears back and rush the passer. So it's overall, in the first padded practices, I expected the defensive line to crush the offensive line. And I will say, I think the defensive line probably did win overall over those 2 days, but the offensive line held up a little bit better than I expected it to.
I would agree with that. Now, you got to remember yesterday, Jeff played 2 plays.
Right. Take that with a grain of salt, right?
Yeah, that has something to do with it. But I would still say, like there have been stretches where the defensive line dominated play. But as we said, that group, if they're not the best group on the Titans are in trouble.
Yeah.
Because they're the group this team attacked. That and wide receiver are the groups they really attacked the most the last couple of years. And so that group needs to be really good. And I would say as a whole, the offensive line, while not spectacular, did stand up better than I expected. They've created some big plays in the run game. Just go back to Cam's big ball to Carnell Tate yesterday.
Yep.
Which was a spectacular throw, by the way.
Yep.
I think I had it at 65 to 70 yards in the air.
Right.
Which was incredible. But he had a perfect, beautiful pocket to throw from. That's why that play was able to be complete, because that play takes a long time to develop, and he's got to be able to step into that throw if he's going to throw that thing that far. And so, you could see he was wide open in the backfield, and you could just see it and then let it rip. And so, he and Carnell get the credit, but the offensive line played a big part in that play happening yesterday.
100%. And again, still early. I remember the Bucks preseason game last year where we were all talking about how great the offensive line was. And obviously that didn't carry over into the regular season. So we'll see how it all plays out. But overall, offensive line better than expected through the first couple of padded practices. 615.
Expectations were pretty low.
Yes, that is true. That is true. The bar was low and they have exceeded it, which is good. That's what you want. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. Hour number 2 coming up next. We'll bounce around a little bit, get into some college football, get into some big picture NFL topics, and plenty more Titans talk coming throughout the show. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly, next man up. 102.5 The Game. Second hour on this Wednesday, Next Man Up, 102.5 The Game. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis from News 2, Parker Kelly. We are broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Lots of Titans talk through the first hour. We will get back into the Titans, getting ready for the third padded practice of the week tomorrow morning. I did want to get into some college football here. Before we get to the coaches poll, I know Parker saw this. Cory, did you see the Akron offensive coordinator of the game promotion that they're doing?
I saw a Julian Winenstone, who I work with, posted something about it. And he said, he had some joke about, what the team was going to think when everybody was running verts the whole game.
Yeah. The Akron football, the official Twitter account, put this out yesterday. One lucky fan will be able to script the opening drive in Akron's home opener against Robert Morris. Every chance to win with every new season ticket holder you refer. It's a random drawing among season ticket holders. I mean, I guess this is a way to get money. I've seen lots of people who are clearly not Akron football fans putting their name in the pot just because they want to do this. I think it's just a complete Robert Morris has to feel totally disrespected here, right? That Akron, this isn't Alabama. This is Akron is saying we're so much better than you that we can let a fan call our plays for the first series and we're still going to beat you. Like I don't know what to think of this.
When Mike Mularkey was the head coach of the Titans, and they would have charity auctions, he would auction off the first play of the preseason game,
right?
First preseason, and so a fan could call the first. Now he would hand them a handful of plays and say, "Pick one."
Yep.
But inevitably they went deep just about every time. But so I've seen something like that before. And look, I can't imagine like the OC got like stunned by this.
Right.
And I can't imagine that this fan is going to have like
free reign.
Zero. Yeah. Yeah. So
I have put my name in the pot for this, and not only
Akron season tickets.
I am officially now an Akron football season ticket holder.
You know what? I wouldn't be running. I certainly wouldn't be running a jet sweep or a split screen or anything like that.
No, Cory, we're going deep first play. Like we're taking a shot down the field.
No, I'm going hook and ladder first play.
Yeah, I like it. Hey, how about this? I'm gonna make them install the wishbone into their offense. Like we're just gonna run the wishbone, run triple option for the first drive, and then they can go back to whatever offense.
We're going back to 1960, right. Baby. Let's go.
See if Tommy Frazier has any time left.
Yeah, I mean, I guess this is what college sports is now. You got to find ways to fundraise. You got to find ways to make money, and auctioning off the first drive of your season. I mean, go ahead. So I thought that was hilarious yesterday.
Who are they playing?
Robert Morris.
Okay.
So what I'm saying, it's disrespectful to Robert Morris to say we can do this against you.
This is bulletin board material for him.
Who cares? It's Robert Morris. It's not like, hey, when Akron and Robert Morris get together, you can throw out the records. Like, there's a school named after a cat. So, you'll be okay.
Hey, when Parker's throwing the headset on in the booth, that's going to be one of the biggest games of the year.
And I'm not hiding what we're doing. We're going deep.
Yeah,
we're going deep.
Robert Morris.
Four verts.
Robert Morris better not be pressing on the first few plays of the game.
Oh, I pray they press.
Parker's gonna.
You know what you do? You show four verts and you run the draw.
Yeah, there you go.
Because they're all gonna think, oh my God, they're going deep. Throw it
right.
Speed fan call.
Yeah, they're letting this season ticket holder
rip it up for 30 yards.
If they give me a 5-man box, it's over.
Hair Metal Henry says, if it were me, I would call the annexation of Puerto Rico from the Little Giants. I think that's a great pull there. Run the Statue of Liberty. Like
Statue of Liberty,
I like that too. Yeah, well,
hook and ladder, baby.
I mean, I will say
Comanche.
This is going to get people to watch Akron Robert Morris, right? Just to see what that first drive looks like where a fan is calling the plays. Now, I agree with you, Cory. I think it's going to be similarly to what the Titans would do in the preseason game where it's like, hey, here's a list of 20 plays. You get to script 3 of them or something like that.
Here's
like
3. Here's
right.
a list of 3 on this play.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, here are options for first down, second down, and third down. Pick A, B, or C. Like, it's not going to be create your own system, pull out the Madden playbook, and you can just pick 8 plays.
Watsy calls a trick play and the quarterback gets hurt for the season.
I know. I know. Like that. This probably could go bad, but
this could go south real fast.
Right. But
so Saturday, September 12th at 2:30 on ESPN Plus. Akron and Robert.
It'll go so poorly that Dabo Sweeney will invoke it the next week.
Man, we're gonna get into some Dabo in a second here, Corey. Don't you worry. I hate it. That's I want to say that's during the Vandy Delaware game, so I won't be able to watch. I won't be able to tune in for Parker's play calling debut.
Or just I can't wait. It's going to be great. It's going to be great. It's going to be like NCAA the video game in real life.
Yeah, no, that's true. Like that's what they should do is just pull up the Akron playbook from College Football 27, and you get to just play with the controller. Like, all right, we're going to hit square on this one and run 4 verts 4 plays in a row.
You know who the head coach is, right?
No.
Joe Moorhead, former Mississippi State head coach.
Yeah, Joe Moorhead. Wow. Where was he as an offensive coordinator lately?
Oregon.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. Do they let you choose whether to send the punt unit out? I think that's a big question too. Of like fourth down and 18 after your quarterback took back-to-back sacks. We sending the punt unit out, Parker?
We're not punting. We're going for it. And my goal is to not get in that situation.
That's when you run the hook and ladder on 4th and 18, 2 minutes into the game. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. If you want to join in the conversation, 615-737-1025, our phone and text line, driven by Wilson County Hyundai, online at wilsoncountyhyundai.com. We got a little off the rails there. We're going to get back to the top 25. First one came out yesterday, the coaches poll. We'll talk about where Tennessee is ranked, Vanderbilt on the outside looking in, and some other notable spots there as we get closer to the college football season. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly, next man up, 102.5 The Game. Next man up, 102.5 The Game. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly with you. Talking some college football here in the second hour of the show. Back into the Titans shortly. The first coaches poll has been released. Yesterday it came out. Ohio State number 1, Oregon 2, Georgia 3, Texas 4, Notre Dame 5. Tennessee slots in at number 18. Vanderbilt on the outside looking in. They were the 8th team out in receiving votes, so 33rd in the country. Cory, your thoughts on where Tennessee and Vandy ended up in the initial coaches poll? The AP poll comes out in a couple of weeks.
Bill, I mean, starting a true freshman quarterback is what it looks like you're going to be, coming off of, not having the Heisman runner-up. I still think with the amount of votes they got, there's a level of respect there that the program is more than Diego Pavia, right? I mean, because if you thought it was all Diego Pavia, you're not voting him for your top 25. And 37 votes means a lot of voters had them in there. So I think that, there's a level of respect there, and they probably shouldn't start. There's not enough evidence to put them in the top 25 to start this season. For Tennessee, I think you should be pretty happy with 18. You got major questions at quarterback going in. You finished last year kind of limping home at 8-5. I think you should be pretty thrilled with 18.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think Tennessee, the roster is a top 25 roster, but similarly to what you talked about with Vanderbilt, the quarterback situation is going to play such a large role in how this season goes, as it does for every team. But when there's so much unknown about who's going to be the starter, what are they going to look like as a true freshman or a redshirt freshman making their first starts? I think that's why you couldn't put Tennessee higher. I think 18 probably about right, given the teams that are below them, like Washington, SMU, Utah, Iowa are the next 4. I think you could argue maybe they're a little high, but I think the 18 to 22 range is probably about where Tennessee ends up in both of the initial polls.
I think the SEC got 9 teams, right?
Yeah, 9 teams.
So, I mean, being in the SEC is going to get you a level of respect there. And Tennessee's passed. But, I could have also seen them starting outside the top 25 in this poll.
9 teams in the top 25 in the coaches poll, 13 in the top 34 if you go into receiving votes. Florida was the 2nd team out. South Carolina was the 5th or 6th. Then Vanderbilt, then Auburn right after them. So 13 of 16 teams at least got votes for the top 25. I guess Mississippi State, Kentucky, and Arkansas were the only 3 that did not receive any votes.
Yeah, I was going to say, I thought you were going to tell me Mississippi State got votes. So
no.
Hold on there, Chief.
No, those were the only 3 that didn't. The Big Ten got 8 teams in the top 25. They do have 3 of the top 6. Indiana, the reigning national champs, are 6. You also have USC at 14. You've got Michigan at 16, Penn State at 17, and Washington at 19.
That's it. That Penn State number is really interesting, considering just the massive turnover you have there in coach and roster. My understanding is he basically brought over the whole Iowa State roster with him.
Yeah. I mean, Matt Campbell basically copied and pasted the Cyclones over to Happy Valley, including Rocco Becht at quarterback, which, I mean, it's a good get for them.
24 Iowa State players, 12 projected starters.
Wow.
Yeah. If I were Iowa State, I might be a little sore right now. But he gave Iowa State a lot of good years and put Iowa State really on the map.
Yes, he did. And
Iowa State's going to be terrible this year, though.
Yeah.
I mean, just terrible.
They were picked dead last in the Big 12.
Second to last. Colorado's dead last.
Yeah. And it'll be interesting for the comparisons all year long that'll happen, Virginia Tech and Penn State.
Right.
And so that'll be interesting, to kind of watch that. And I think, look, polls before the first 4 weeks are in the books are really tough. They just are, because you're just projecting and you don't really know. But, when you look at a few teams, like some people think that Texas should be number 1. Indiana's the defending national champion and has shown that no matter who their quarterback is going to be with Kurt Cignetti, they're probably going to be pretty good. And there are a lot of people who think Notre Dame should be number one.
Yep.
And then Ohio State's always got an elite roster. And so, that's, it's not surprising to see the Buckeyes start on top. And Oregon brings back their quarterback. I can see why Oregon is really high. And Georgia's always, they've got Curtis Stockton back, right?
Yep. Gunnar Stockton's back. Yep.
Yeah. And so, they've got their quarterback back and they've got a Georgia roster. So I think this year, we're 6 teams deep right there. I think that's more than we would usually have when we're considering national championship contenders going in.
Yeah, all 6 of those teams got votes to be the top team in the coaches poll, and then Miami didn't get votes, but I would say they would be my 7th national championship contender, and they are 7th in the initial coaches poll.
Where's Michigan?
Michigan is 16.
Okay, so I think Michigan will wind up better than that.
Well, that brings us to a little game that I wanted to play with you.
Okay.
We're gonna
Big Ten or SEC?
No, we play that game all the time, and it never really gets us
That's
anywhere.
too easy of a game right now.
Yeah. Right now, the answer is probably too easy. I'm gonna give you and Parker 5 teams, and I want to tell you I want you to tell me way too early. Are they a playoff team or are they not?
12-team playoff.
Yes, so 12-team playoff. These are all Big Ten and SEC teams, by the way, that are all kind of in this initial coaches poll. They're around the bubble of a 12-team playoff. I want to start with maybe the biggest story in college sports this season, LSU. Does Lane Kiffin get into the playoff in year 1?
Parker, you want to go first?
Yes, I'm going to say they do. Usually when you rely on the transfer portal as much as Lane Kiffin does, there's a high variety in outcome, but he's proven to do that at Ole Miss. Last year's roster compared to what he has right now at LSU was far less talent-wise, and he still made it to the playoffs, but didn't coach the playoffs ultimately. I do think he gets LSU to playoff this year.
My problem with a lot of these is I don't know what the schedule is. I don't know. Because we don't have even schedules anymore because the leagues are so big.
Yep.
So I don't know how everybody lines up, against each other.
Well, we do know they have Clemson week 1.
Not everybody. Okay, so they're going to be 1-0.
Their tough games are they've got Clemson at Ole Miss, A&M at home, Alabama at home, Texas at home, at Tennessee. Those are kind of the notable games for LSU.
Well, see, what I'm going to consider here is I think Texas and Georgia are both probably playoff teams.
Yes.
I think that's safe to say. So how many more SEC teams get into that 12-team mix? How many were in there last year? 4?
6.
5. At the playoffs?
5.
Wasn't it? Yeah, Georgia, Alabama, Oklahoma, Ole Miss, Texas A&M, and there was
it.
That was it. That was 5. Okay,
yeah. Texas was the next team, but
right. That's what it was. Okay, there were 5.
I like Texas. Well, I don't want to get ahead of it. You know what? I'll say yes. I'll agree with Parker. I'll say yes.
Okay, so you guys both have LSU in. We'll stick with the SEC here. Ranked 8th in the initial coaches poll. Does Texas A&M get in?
Yes.
Okay.
For sure.
I'm going to lean yes, too.
Okay.
And that's banking on the fact that Marcel Reed gets better as a passer.
All right. I like it. I mean, Marcel Reed was good last year. They went 11-1.
He was pretty good last year.
Yep.
He was, but he still needs to improve a lot as a passer.
Well, sure. But I'm just saying on a college level, he performed at a really, really high level. And if he is better, then they are a legit national title contender because we thought they were last year. So
there was a stretch in November where he at least got in the discussion of the Heisman, but he was on the outside, but at least he worked his way into the discussion.
And we talked about it last year, when I think we were in November and we were wondering if he was going to get to New York.
Yep.
And so, he had a great year and that school, like LSU, like Ohio State, they'll spend whatever they got to spend. And so, and they've got a good coach now. I think they got the right coach now. So I like Texas A&M a lot.
I do really like Mike Elko, and they're recruiting well. Again, Marcel Reed is back, so I would lean yes for the Aggies too. Let's flip to the Big Ten quickly here. I know Parker is a fan of this team. USC. Does Lincoln Riley finally break through and get this team to the playoff?
Is Corey
Parker?
going or me?
You guys can either go.
Not. Oh, I thought you said Parker.
Well,
Parker,
I know. I said
ahead.
I know Parker's a big fan of this team.
I am ridiculously high on USC this year.
Yep.
I could see them winning a game, maybe even two in the playoffs this year. So, yes, I do think USC is going to make the playoffs because Lincoln Riley's job depends on it. It's playoff or bust for him. The one problem is they did bring in the number one recruiting class in 26, and they're going to have to rely on a lot of those freshmen. That is the biggest weakness for them. But I do see them making the playoffs.
Parker's kind of running out of
Ohio
spots.
State. I know, but you're bringing up good teams because, like in the Big Ten, I obviously like Ohio State and Oregon and Indiana, and I could definitely see Southern Cal being that fourth team, but it could also be Michigan, and so that's where I'm torn. I don't know if you're going to bring up Michigan or not. I would be torn between those two schools because I like the quarterback coming back to Southern Cal a lot as well.
I will say Michigan was the next team I was going to bring up. So I guess if it's a choice for you between USC and Michigan, there's a lot to like about both of those teams.
Yeah, you know what? I hate to agree with people. I'll go yes based on quarterback play, and they need to be good. This is a make or break kind of year for them.
Yeah, I agree. And Maeva is veteran quarterback. Riley's been there. Are you guys both no's on Michigan?
Yeah, I'm a no on Michigan. I think they're going to get a lot better, though. A lot better.
I think I won't be surprised if they're in, but based on how many spots I got right now, I got to say no. So, like right now, I think they're in that territory last year where like Vanderbilt, Notre Dame, and all those teams fell, where they were debatable to be in and don't get in.
Yep, I would agree with that. I think USC and Michigan are probably the two most likely contenders for that fourth spot out of the Big Ten. And I would think they get four in. It's going to just come down to the margins there. Last one, and I think this one is the most interesting one. The Alabama Crimson Tide. Does Kalen DeBoer get back into the playoff and maybe keep his job?
Go ahead.
No. Alabama does not make the playoff this year. They could not run the football the last 2 years, which just boggles my mind because you should never be able to not run the football at Alabama. So I don't know if that's going to be better this year. It's hard to be worse than they were last year. And I think Keelan Russell is going to be starting at quarterback, and he's going to be a true freshman. So too much variance there. So I'm going to say no.
Yeah, I mean, look, if I've got Georgia and Texas and LSU and A&M, I've got one more spot at most for the SEC.
Right.
And I haven't seen enough from Alabama. You beat Oklahoma. Yay. But I mean, they've been inconsistent. Now, maybe this is the year where it's year 3 and it's more Kalen DeBoer guys and they're more plugged into him and maybe they turn a corner. But in the first 2 years of that program, I've just seen too many mistakes that happen, too many penalties, too many turnovers, just not what I'm accustomed to seeing and not seeing them playing at an elite level that we've seen before. And so if I had to bet right now, I would say, and also they got in last year on a questionable year. And so I feel like if there's a question for them this year, then they're going to get left out.
Yeah.
Because that seems to be kind of the way it's going to work. Because, by the way, Notre Dame's in this year. So that takes up one of the 12 spots.
Right. And it's just 12 seems like a lot of teams, but when you really go through it, there's just not a lot of spots. Like if those 7 teams that we talked about that we think are going to be national championship contenders, if all 7 of those teams make it, which is not a foregone conclusion, but let's say those 7 spots are taken away. You still need a Big 12 team. So that's 8. You still need a group of 5 team. That's 9. That leaves 3 spots for A&M, Oklahoma, Ole Miss, Alabama, LSU, USC, Michigan. So that's 7 teams that I would say are playoff contenders that are fighting for 3 spots. There's just not a whole lot of spaces to put these teams.
Aren't Texas Tech and Arizona both supposed to be pretty good this year?
Yeah, well, Texas Tech, I kind of just assumed that they would be the Big 12 team, but like I guess they wouldn't. Like BYU is also a top 15 team in the preseason, so
yeah, BYU is supposed to be good. But I do think Arizona is supposed to be pretty good this year.
They have
I think they might be returning all 22 starters.
They have the quarterback coming back, Fafita, who I think is exciting for a lot of people.
Yeah,
he throws without the laces.
Really?
Just complete psychopath behavior. Throws without every time, and he willingly chooses to do so.
Danny White used to throw with his thumb on the laces.
Wow. I mean, I guess to each their own, right? Like whatever allows you to have the most success, but that's weird. I've never seen that before. Somebody just throwing with the pigskin.
Mm-hmm. You got a big hand if that's the case.
That is true. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. We'll react to our thoughts on the playoff picture in college football, get back into the NFL, and of course, more Titans talk throughout the show as well. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly, next man up, 102.5 The Game.
Lost audio.
Yeah. It just muted randomly.
Oh, great.
So, all right, this table on wars, there are a lot of clips.
We don't need to do that now. Maybe in the third, second of the hour.
There's three game quarterback, traits as quarterback, decision making, communication with Cam, 2 interceptions.
Yeah, they do two. We'll do that. Not come back from this one, but then 11:30. What's up, Brandon?
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Doing well. Can't complain. Gracie, good to see you.
Brando,
Kelly, how you doing, man?
you were looking at the new offensive coordinator back.
I saw that. I was going to ask you what your first play in script was going to be.
Oh, we're going mom's number back.
I love that.
He's
I love that.
I'm being aggressive.
Hey, man, that's what you got to do. From the first play, you got to throw that thing.
We're not going for this, though. I think we're going to go play action.
There we go. There we go.
Yeah,
He's
we're going
going to come in first play of the game after they get destroyed by Wake Forest game 1.
I'm
With confidence, he's going to bomb it down.
I'm getting after the playoffs this year.
I like it.
They're going to be the group of 5 representatives.
Akron versus USC in the Rose Bowl.
Wouldn't have it any other way.
Led by offensive coordinator Parker.
You may lose week 1 to Wake Forest. That's all right. We're winning the rest of it.
Hey,
All right, so-
Hey, week 1's not on you. That's your offense.
Yeah.
Week 1's not
I can't
on
do
you.
anything. I'm sitting on the couch that week.
Yeah, exactly.
They bring me in for week 2.
You're watching the film. You're prepping.
Exactly.
What does Robert Morris do well? What do they run well on defense?
Yeah.
Nothing, because they suck ass. To be honest, so does Akron. But
Robert Morris is average.
and then you have Kent State, who sucks.
Rival.
And more than 2 games. It's just like
I just good.
3 yards.
the only Kent State I know is the ass that they are now.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Next man up, 1025, The Game. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis from News 2, Parker Kelly with you. We got a few more segments on this Wednesday. Again, we'll be back at it. Titans practice tomorrow, day 3 in pads, and day 3 of 4 this week. I believe the scrimmage is coming up on Friday night, so plenty of opportunities to see what the Titans can do out there on the field. We're looking at the Athletics quarterback tiers for 2026, ranking all 35 non-rookie quarterbacks who are competing for starting jobs this year. So the battles in Atlanta, the battles in Minnesota, and Cleveland, those are all included, all 6 of those guys. Everybody else is the projected starter. Cam Ward, 25th. We'll get into that in just a second, but I did want to talk about Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold being tied for 14th. I don't want to be the Baker Mayfield hater again, because I know that I've gone after him for maybe just not hitting his ceiling in Tampa Bay. But Are you telling me if you put Baker Mayfield on that Seahawks team this year that they win the Super Bowl? I don't know if that's the case. I think Sam Darnold has developed to a point where he should be viewed as a top 10 quarterback in the league. I think I would put him ahead of Mayfield. I'd put him ahead of Daniels. I think he's in that tier with like Love and Purdy, 9, 10, 11, somewhere around there. I would say like borderline, right? Like I don't have an issue with you putting him at 9. I don't think I'd have an issue with you putting him at 11. I think he's somewhere in that range. 6 through 10 are Herbert, Prescott, May, Goff, Love. Yep. Well, and like Sam Darnold, he turned the ball over a decent amount last year. He had 14 interceptions, and I'm not saying he's a perfect quarterback, but you're right. Like he's won 28 games in the regular season the last 2 years and just won a Super Bowl. He threw 25 last year. Well, right. Like I think before last season, the flaw you'd look at with Darnold is you'd put him in that Mayfield tier of, yeah, good. He's revived his career. He hasn't won the big ones yet. And until he wins the big ones, I can't put him into the top 10. And that would have been fair. He just won the Super Bowl. Like I think he's graduated from the tier where he's tied with Baker Mayfield for the 14th best quarterback in the league. I would say so. I mean, they lost Kenneth Walker, but for the most part, they've got talent all around him again. Yeah, Jaden Daniels, 13. They've got the young guys from that 2024 draft class are all pretty high. May tied for 8th, Williams tied for 11th, Daniels 13th. Yep. No, there is not. Unless you like Cade Klubnik, your Clemson guy, Corey. Did we talk about this last week? I forget who was on the show that day. There was an article from Rich Cimini, the TD of the Jets at ESPN. Did the Jets find their Tom Brady or Brock Purdy with Cade Klubnik? He was. Yeah, no, that is true. Everybody loves the young quarterback sitting on the bench. It's that's always going to be a thing in college football, in the NFL. Even with if you look beyond Aller, like Will Howard for the past year and a half has been getting hyped up by Pittsburgh. So. We're talking about the Athletics quarterback tiers here as they ranked all 35 veteran quarterbacks. 50 executives and coaches voted for this. Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold tied for 14th. I think that's the most egregious ranking that I see on here. And Rick on the text line, we haven't talked about this on the show yet, I don't think. Corey, what did you think of the way Baker has handled the contract negotiations? Like, I understand the frustration of not getting the appreciation you think you deserve, the money you think you deserve. But man, to bash the organization openly in the media, I thought was a pretty big step from Baker Mayfield. Yeah, I mean, I do think that you have to, I've said it before, you have to wander out into the wilderness if you're going to find your franchise quarterback. Like, it's very rare. It happens, but it's very rare to find a Super Bowl winning quarterback in free agency. Darnold, I think, is the exception because you look at like the other free agent quarterbacks who have won Super Bowls over the past few years or past decade and a half. Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, trying to think of anybody else. Right. Like, yeah, you go back 25 years, Rich Gannon. But for the most part, you got to draft your guy and develop him, and he becomes the franchise quarterback. So I do think eventually you have to go and draft your young guy and hope he develops. But the offer the Bucs made for Baker Mayfield, I thought was about what I would do. Short term, 2 years. They offered him over $100 million on a 2-year deal, and he said no. I just don't know about locking up another 4 years into Baker Mayfield. I think a short-term deal, build around the core that you have right now with Baker, that's fine. I don't know if I would do the longer-term deal, and that seems to be where the Bucs head is at too. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we watched quarterback, of course, and saw that as the injuries piled up with him, the play went down and they kind of collapsed down the season, down the stretch of the season last year. But no, I agree with you. I don't think Baker Mayfield is the reason that team isn't competing. But like Mike Evans is gone now, and Baker is playing out the final year of his contract. Like things have gone sour there in Tampa Bay pretty quickly from what it was even halfway through last season. Right. Vita Vea wants a trade. Like things have not gone well since they started 6-2 last year. It's really started to spiral. Yep. Right. The bruising on his arm was ugly. Yep. And yeah, he's playing out the final year of his contract. Maybe you end up with a franchise tag situation next year. We'll have to see how this season plays out for Baker. 615-737. Yeah, I mean, the franchise tag for a quarterback is pretty big money. Let's see, because it's the average of the top 5 contracts. Franchise tag QB 2025 or 2026. It would have been $46 million. So that was this year, and I'm sure it'll go up for next year. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. We'll take your thoughts. We got 2 more segments with you on this Wednesday. We'll talk about the Cam Ward aspect of this. Again, ranked 25th by executives and coaches in the athletic quarterback tiers. We'll talk about what we've seen so far from Cam Ward in camp, what he's left to be desired as we get closer to preseason games a week from tomorrow out in Santa Clara. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly, next man up, 1-2-5 the game.
Someone said in the chat they can't hear Cory.
Cory, is he muted on there?
No. You are. And it worked at 10 o'clock hour and it stopped working.
We might just have to power through for the final 2 segments and make it
I went
work.
back and listened and it sounded fine. And you could hear it. It's very faint.
We got 15 minutes of content to fill. We'll get it done.
Find a way.
Yeah, so we'll do this clip here.
Oh, yeah.
Talk about Cam. Fans aren't out of practice tomorrow, right? I believe they are. Let's see here. I don't believe that they're out of practice tomorrow, so that makes things a little more difficult. The last hour, the last 2 days, it's just like react to what's going on the field. No fans. Yeah. We'll just have to. I'll have to actually come up with topics. Connor will join us for a little bit.
Experienced counselors who specialize in helping kids feel better, grow stronger, and thrive. And they offer in-person counseling. It's available in Columbia and Clarksville. And anywhere in the your child can receive telehealth. It's easy, it's effective, and it's private. Visit unitycares.com/Joe to schedule.
He's the lobby guy?
Yeah, 508-8002. One call can change it all. We're not just delivering energies and fuel. We're fueling careers with purpose. Join our team as a CDL fully all-wheel driver and steer your career to new heights with competitive wages and a $2,000 sign-on bonus. Your skills are rewarded and recognized here. Join peace of mind with local routes and home that don't just work, thrive. Benefits like paid vacation, sick time, and holidays. Drive your future forward. Railroad.com/company/careers today. Most your jobs is some job, then all you can do is a person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates, but it finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You can qualify candidates fast. So while other companies might be a lot of pay, ZipRecruiter can find you what you're looking for.
He's feeling calm. You'll have to like rage bait him or something. I mean, he already rage baited Jake, kicking my freaking clubs into going over my hands. Something like that.
I didn't say that. I just said it's
Or
way,
yeah.
it's way too early to
Yeah.
know. That's gonna be a game where Miami's gonna be favored by like 3.5 or 4.
Yeah.
It's not impossible for them to win that game.
Not at all.
Look, he scrambled out on a couple of them. He thought he had something. Tried to put it in. See it for a split second. And those close up. Everything is a risk. Situation we're in, decision you make, throwing back across your body one way might work a couple times. Lesson learned on those two places, which is good. This is why we're doing it. But I don't ever, and I've said that with the other quarterbacks I have, I want them to have the aggressive mentality. I want them to go after it. But at the end of the day, we're charged with making the right decision on this.
That was Brian Dable yesterday before practice talking about Cam Ward's 2 interceptions on Monday, both similar variety, rolling out, extending the play, tried to throw back late over the middle of the field. Both were picked off, one by Amani Hooker, one by Jermaine Johnson. Cory, we talked about it a little bit early on in the show, but thoughts on what we've seen from Cam Ward through the first 2 padded practices? I think there's been a decent amount to like, but also you're still seeing some of the issues that we saw that he had as a rookie popping up here and there throughout this training camp so far. Yep.
He's got to help elevate it. The other parts have got to help elevate it. He's got room to grow. He should have room to grow. We talked about the trajectory of the quarterback. Not trying to grow. So,
Yeah.
rather build up from a low level than start high and loud.
Yeah, every quarterback, we just went through a lot of the quarterbacks around the league. Like Carson Wentz, again, was an MVP candidate in year 2, and then he kind of fell off a cliff. Jared Goff got off to a slow start. I know he got to a Super Bowl with the Rams, but at one point was given up on and was traded and is still viewed as a top 10 quarterback in the league. So everybody's got their own path. I will say, right. Yeah. Yeah, and it's going to take some time. I've said before, Cam Ward's going to be the starting quarterback in the first game in the new Nissan Stadium next year. I would almost guarantee it. And I think maybe midway through next year, if you're still like, hey, man, this isn't it, then you start to look at, all right, maybe you have to bring in some competition for him. But you pick the guy number 1 overall. The Titans aren't going to be quick to pull the plug on Cam Ward. And not that they should. I mean, he's shown a lot of good things in these training camp practices too. Even though he was a little off yesterday with some of the accuracy, I did love 2 third down plays that he had where he just ripped it over the middle. And one was Chim DK right at the sticks. I want to say the other one was Wan'Dale Robinson. Like, those are the types of plays you're going to need to make. Brian Dable harps on third downs. I thought that was an encouraging sign that we saw from Cam Ward. Guy got to his spot. The ball was already on its way. Hit him for a first down.
Yeah, that's been a lot of touch. He's been really showing off the arms. So it'll be interesting.
Yeah.
For me, he's not Zach Wilson.
No, he's not. Yes, and he brought in Brian Dable to try and work out some of the kinks that we saw with Cam Ward and channel the skills and traits that he does have into being a successful quarterback. And I think we've seen Cam take coaching, right? Like, yes, he did have the 2 head scratchers on Monday. Yesterday, he took care of the football. Something that Brian Dable's talked about, and we've talked about too, is be more willing to run the football. When there's green grass in front of you, don't always be looking for the big shot. Be willing to run the football. And I want to say yesterday, at least twice, he took off and took 5 yards and slid down and moved on to the next play. That's growth and taking coaching. Yeah. 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 Yeah, and I think running the football is one of the big examples of that. Of last year, we did see it get better throughout the season. I forget what it might have been the Chargers game, like shortly after Mike McCoy took over. Right. It wasn't sustainable, and this isn't like Cam Ward is not Josh Allen. I don't think Brian Dable is going to be running quarterback power with Cam Ward all that often, but just being willing to run is different than being designed to run. And I think we have seen him. That may not be in his mind his favorite thing to do. He wants to hunt. He wants to be the gunslinger, but you got to just take what the defense gives you. And if the defense gives you 5 yards, you may not be Lamar Jackson, but Cam Ward's a good enough athlete to go get 5 yards and scamper out of bounds. Yep. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Last call for phones on the program today. We will wrap up the show after this. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly, next man up. 1025 the game. Asking us to bring Trey in for a live interview.
Hey, buddy.
I'm so glad he's back. I hate that he called today. I wanted Cory and Trey.
I had a feeling he was going to be back on site.
He called in each of the last 2 days, right at 9:15, back at his usual time.
He's just waiting for football season, man.
Right.
That's awesome.
Hopefully he calls in tomorrow. I'll just put it on the grid. Trey calls in 9:15.
It's like an appointment. Your annual doctor's
Just get pissed on the air if he doesn't call in.
Trey, where are you?
Trey,
Call it.
call in.
I'm waiting on you. You're holding up the whole show. When I look back at this, I think it's the things he does. It's just dialogue Guardians of the Galaxy. Rocky just wants to stay. It's just Rocky is my favorite character in the whole series.
Here. We'll do the roll. What do you guys think? Gray, black, or red for my picture?
Is that today?
Chase said after the show he wants to take a picture or two.
Okay. He gave me polos too, so I don't know if I'm getting in on this.
I'm gonna go red here.
I'll go black if I'm in the picture.
Final segment on this Wednesday. Next man up, 102.5 The Game. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly. Again tomorrow, back live at Titans training camp. Can't be a TD Thursday because, he's got his day job over at ESPN covering practice. He will be with us for the full show on Friday, so excited for that. Cory, next week, I guess we'll have to figure things out because you will be en route to Santa Clara for the first preseason game. Okay. Love it. Yeah, maybe we'll see if we can get you for 10 minutes or so as you make your trek out there. But I guess the next time we'll have you here, we'll be back getting ready for the Bears preseason game, correct? Or is that the Seahawks? Yeah. That's true. We will figure it out as we go along, but it is going to get here quickly. Hall of Fame game tomorrow, and the first preseason game for the Titans coming up a week from tomorrow against the 49ers. I'm disappointed, Cory. Trey has called in the last 2 days. I thought maybe he would call in today. He did not. 8162 texted in and said, have you guys considered having Trey come in live for an interview? Love that guy. Maybe we should. Oh, yeah, that's true. Trey doesn't watch. He only listens. That's true. It's disappointing because I've always wanted to know what Trey looks like. Like he told us. I think we all have like our ideas, but he said that he took a picture with Diego Pavia and posted it somewhere, but it's like behind a wall on Facebook that we can't get behind. Not a paywall. It's like a private group that he posted it in. We can't get into it. Like I want to know what Trey looks like. Right. I don't think so. But maybe that's why he's taking all these trips down to South America. Yeah. I'm just glad Trey's okay. Yeah, that it's possible. Like maybe this is somebody that we have that we already know, and he's just putting a voice on. Okay. Yeah. Oh yeah. Is that the second one? Gotcha. I think I know who you're talking about. This is a very niche reference that people may not understand. I don't know if anybody will know this. He reminds me of I imagine Ice JJ Fish. I don't know if anyone knows who that is, but if you look him up, that is yeah. That is what I imagine Trey looks like. Yeah, that is true because he has told us that he is an older guy. Like he used to drive deliveries across the whole country. So yeah, a little bit older, but that's what I always envision when Trey calls in. Yep. Cheap apparently. Cheap. But yeah, it's glad. I'm just glad Trey is okay because he goes radio silent for us for a while, and you just never know when he's making all of these international trips for dental work. You just don't know if he's ever going to make it back. We got a couple more minutes left on the show here. Oh, the Spider-Man music? I still haven't seen it. Sometimes the bump music doesn't come through on the Zoom, so we're going to give Cory a little bit of a break. Yes, I need to see it though. I prioritized the Odyssey on Friday. I went and saw it in the IMAX 70 at Opry Mills. So I did that. Within the next week I will see Spider-Man. I can guarantee that. Within the next 7 days I will see it. It's like they made close to $1 billion on the first weekend, right? Did I see it was the second biggest opening ever? I don't know. Biggest movie opening weekends. I want to say I saw that somewhere. Yeah, maybe like the Barbenheimer. So Endgame. Oh, Spider-Man Brand New Day now has the biggest opening weekend ever. It beat Endgame. So at one point it was at 900. It got over $1 billion in one weekend. Yeah, I mean that. I would think if you ask people who follow superhero movies, comics, like who are your favorites, it's usually Batman, Spider-Man. Those are the two characters who I think do move the needle when you talk about like movies coming out in theaters. That right. Yeah, right. That is true. Right.
We also talked about this at training camp. You think Iron Man is a crime fighter too, right? Because
He doesn't have powers. That's true. Yeah. I guess he's just a really good shot, right? Yeah, I see where he's coming from. Like a crime fighter versus a superhero. Yeah, but that makes him super able. Right, the serum. That is true. It's a good discussion. I will make sure to watch Spider-Man. We can discuss. Cory, always appreciate you coming in. We will talk to you soon and travel safe to Santa Clara. That does it for us. We will be back 9 a.m. tomorrow live from Titans training camp. Chase and Big Joe are coming up next. Keep it right here on 102.5 The Game.
Come on, Bingen.
Wouldn't you be thinking coming in here?
Right.